Y'all, Beauty in Black is getting crazy. This is part 2 of our Season 2 coverage. Check out our playlist if you haven't seen it, but basically Beauty in Black follows the rich Bellery family. Kimmie has married into the rich family only because Horace doesn't want any of his sons to inherit the company. The last time we were here, Angel was shot at a bus stop. When Horace realizes he gave the go signal to kill Angel, he immediately contacts Jules. However, Jules says it's already too late, as the order has been carried out. Mallory also confronts Jules about his strip club scheme, which she found out through Felicia. She wants to know if Roy's involved, but Jules insists it's best if Mallory knows less. Jules also wants to get rid of Felicia after she ran her fat mouth, but Mallory defends Felicia, saying that she needs an insider at the club who can fill her in with the latest information while Felicia gets filled in herself.
These hoes ain't loyal.
Back at the hospital, Norman visits his older brother, wanting to reconcile. Norman envies his brother because their father always favored Horace over him. Horace doesn't want to talk to Norman or fix their relationship. He reminds Norman that he and Olivia were exploring each other's dusty crevices when Horace was still married to Olivia. Horace tells Norman that he's aware of their laundering scheme at the club, and because Norman can face felony charges, Norman could lose all of his shares in the company. Meanwhile, Varney is still scared Roy will out him, but Charles doesn't really care. Mallory walks in, knowing about Varney taking it up the rear, so she invites him to dinner to talk. Back at the house, Kimmie has decided that it is best for Sylvie to be away from the Bellerys. She wants to send her to college, and she needs Rain's help in convincing Sylvie to move out. Rain promises she'll help. Rain also wants to return the $500,000 gift from Kimmie. Girl, you can get 25 BBLs with that kind of money. Rain wants to make her own money at the club and needs Kimmie's help to get it. Plus, she wants to get revenge on Body and Daga for giving her a back alley BBL. Defying Varney's request, Charles still talks to Roy, asking him to leave Varney alone. Roy can't wrap his head around the unlikely couple. Varney and Charles eating each other's salads.
He a big, muscle-head, gorilla-looking nigga and just... you.
Roy says there is nothing stopping Varney from hurting Roy. Still, Roy doesn't take the warning seriously. After meeting with Horace, Norman tells Jules that Horace knows about the laundering scheme. They have to make sure there won't be enough evidence to prove it. Norman says he'll get rid of the fatback Judge Harold himself. Horace calls Kimmie to talk about Angel. Sylvie takes this chance to tell the old man about the clinic in Thailand that takes care of cancer patients. But Horace isn't into Thailand boy toys. During a dinner date with Varney, Mallory knows he's eating Charles' eggplant. She's even more glad to know why Varney rejected her kitty. In the end, Varney just doesn't want Horace to know because he's homophobic. Girl, Horace likes to take D himself. Mallory says that it's only a matter of time before the whole family finds out because Roy got a big mouth. Later that night, Norman pays Judge Harold a visit at his house. While the judge's wife, Gloria, goes to the kitchen, Norman finally confronts Judge Harold. Harold says there is no paper trail connecting Norman to the laundering. But Norman is sure that Judge Harold tells everything to his wife. So to ensure nothing gets out, Norman wants to get rid of Gloria. Olivia happens to be in the same restaurant as Mallory and Varney. Olivia blames Varney for allowing Horace to marry Kimmie. Despite being annoyed, Mallory talks respectfully to her mother-in-law. She even offers to take her home because of how drunk Olivia is. But Olivia says her new boy toy got her. Meanwhile, Officer Alex is driving Rain to the club. Rain has always been disrespectful towards him, calling him Japa nigga. But Alex insists that he can be trusted. He knows that his only way out of this mess is if he sides with Kimmie. When Officer Traxon calls, Alex puts it on speaker so Rain can hear the conversation. Officer Traxon proceeds to say that Angel is dead. He reveals that Jules called him to do the job, but says that order came from Horace himself. Rain is shocked about Angel and terrified that it was Horace who made it all happen. However, Angel is still alive. He survived the attempt on his life when the bullets hit the other bystanders instead of him. He goes straight home to take his son and his baby mama, Yolanda. But Yolanda refuses to cooperate. She doesn't want to tell Angel where the baby is despite Angel's warning that they are in danger. Instead, Yolanda calls her brothers while the neighbors call the cops. Just after dinner at Judge Harold's house, Norman finally says goodbye. He leaves behind a black box, which Gloria carries over to her husband. Then a loud explosion sets the entire house on fire. A man walks into the club saying he is Delinda's son. His name is Giovanni, and he wants to go to his mother's office. Apparently, Delinda has left a will, and he wants to check her office to find out more. But Officer Traxon refuses to let him in. A friend of Salvo, Dustin, recognizes Charles. He asks Andy, Mallory's supposed driver, to join him in robbing Charles. But Andy doesn't want to get into trouble, and wants to focus on doing security tasks for the club. So Dustin plans to find a way to get Charles to take him home. All he got to do is flash them abs, he foine. Rain finally breaks the news to Kimmie. Thinking that Horace is the mastermind behind Angel's death, Kimmie panics. She plans to leave as soon as she can and take Sylvie away from the Belleries. However, there's no way that Rain will let go of the lavish life they're living now. She asks Kimmie to wait for her to return so they can talk about their next move. At the hospital, the doctor says that Horace's cancer is quickly progressing. He's likely to have just a few more weeks to live. Wanting to fight, Horace asks about the clinic in Thailand. The clinic has branches in Italy and Thailand and is known to be very effective in giving treatments. Horace asks the doctor to keep him alive long enough until he reaches Italy because he prefers Italian D over Thailand ladyboys. His body's getting weaker, but the doctor promises they'll do anything to help. Just when Mallory and Varney are about to leave, Olivia calls them over, causing a drunkard scene. Mallory is embarrassed, but she tries to be polite and even addresses Olivia as ma'am. Olivia tells her date off, saying he can find his own ride home tonight.
You know, these little young, big dick motherfuckers ain't loyal.
Olivia wants Varney to take her home, but Mallory says Varney will drive both of them. But since Varney lives in Chicago and Mallory in Indiana, Olivia suspects they're having an affair and promises to tell Roy. The two deny it and insist that they take Olivia home together. Meanwhile, Rain tries to get information from Alex on how to escape the Belleries. Alex reveals that there are multiple cameras in the private room, and if they choose to drive the car themselves, they will be followed. When Kimmie wakes up Sylvie, Sylvie refuses to leave unless Kimmie tells her the reason why. Sylvie says she has looked into Horace's eyes and is confident that the old man will never hurt them. She knows what it's like to be around a violent person because of her stepfather. Eventually, Kimmie reveals that she was trafficked and forced to work at the club, where one of her clients was Roy, Horace's son. Sylvie is appalled that her sister slept with a married man, but Sylvie is more shocked when she finds out that Horace didn't marry Kimmie out of love, but just because he didn't want any of his sons to have the company. And even though she reveals that Horace had Angel killed, Sylvie refuses to believe that old man is capable. Officer tracks and calls Jules to report to him about Delinda's son trying to get into her office. Jules orders Traxon not to let Giovanni in no matter what. It turns out that the club is in Delinda's name, so they're more careful now that Delinda is dead and has likely given the club to her son in her will. After the explosion at Judge Harold's house, Jules heads there to see for himself. It's all a mess, and he tells Norman that he should have been more discreet. But Norman, thinking about Judge Harold's body, says, "Oh well." Yolanda's brother barges in, saying that Angel was shot and killed. Thinking he's dead for real, Yolanda leaves the house. But Angel is at the hospital visiting his sugar zaddy. While super drugged, Horace admits that he was the one who ordered him to be killed. Horace explains that it was a misunderstanding, and Angel should stay with him so they don't kill Angel again. Charles is still at the club. Dustin approaches him and offers him some drugs. Charles tells him to drink the drink first, trying to be more careful now after he was robbed the last time he was there. When Rain arrives at the mansion, Kimmie is ready to leave. Rain wants them to talk it out and not rush into making a decision, but Kimmie has already packed their bags and is just waiting for her. Rain is surprised when she learns that Kimmie told everything to her younger sister. No matter how much Rain tries to calm her down, Kimmie is determined to leave that night. Varney drives Olivia home. He's nice enough to walk her to the door and even walk her into her home. But Olivia wants more than that. She tries to flirt with Varney while Mallory is waiting in the car outside.
Does your key open any other door?
Varney tries to stop Olivia from taking a peek, but she just keeps going, and she's impressed by his size. Just then, Mallory gets tired of waiting and decides to go in. She realizes what's happening, so she quickly makes an excuse to get Varney out of there. Kimmie, Sylvie, and Rain all get in the car and refuse to take a driver with them. It's already deep in the night, and the private road is extremely dark. Kimmie doesn't see the oncoming car, and she swerves to the side, almost getting into an accident. Then a shadow slowly approaches them. It's Horace, and he demands to know where Kimmie is heading. They realize Angel isn't dead after all, and soon realize that Horace might not be so bad. Everything is all cleared up, and it was all a misunderstanding. So Rain decides to go back to the strip club. Then Angel is shocked he got his own room at his sugar daddy's house. You probably gotta suck his dried up figs though. Later, Olivia calls her son Roy and tells him that Mallory and Varney are eating each other out. Roy tells her the truth about Varney, that he's actually into Charles's bussy, and Olivia's flabbers were gasted. Then Mallory comes home, and Roy vents that his mom is back to her drunk ways. Mallory says she has no more F's to give about his fentanyl-loving mother. As Mallory tries to take a shower, Roy wants her notorious VAG, but Mallory reminds him that he can't get hard. He lies and says his hoes have no complaints about that, only her. So Jules sends him a text of a new girl that he has for him at the club. Meanwhile, Olivia calls Charles wondering who is the top and bottom.
That's a big nigga.
Charles ignores her and snorts some baking powder. As Angel gets comfortable in his new crib, he's shocked to learn Kimmie married Horace. He finds out that Kimmie is rich now, but she reminds him that he's the piece of booty that Horace wants. Angel argues that he is not willing to do anything gay, but Kimmie reminds him that Horace's D don't even work and Angel has done worse for less. Meanwhile, at the club, everyone compliments Rain with her new butt. However, she's looking for Daga to get her revenge. On top of that, Rain finds out that Body has been scamming people to raise money for her supposed funeral too. Then Felicia asks 21 more questions and Rain says,
"Bye, Felicia."
Rain overhears Shake and Adeline talk about Daga doing Adeline's new booty so that Adeline can shake her booty too. Rain pretends that her procedure went well so that Adeline can be convinced to get the procedure done by Daga. Rain gives Adeline her number to text her when she's about to get her back alley, BBL. When Kimmie goes to see Horace, he says to start trusting him. He says once he dies, everything will be hers, and reiterates that this is her revenge against Roy and Jules. Horace saw something in Kimmie, but says her biggest weakness is Sylvie. Sylvie must go elsewhere because they'll use Sylvie against her. Kimmie promises to send Sylvie to college. Horace then gives her a book that explains how the company is run. Kimmie is now officially the COO, and she has the same amount of shares as Horace. At the club, Roy goes to meet the new girls that he wants to sleep with. He sees Felicia and wants to say, "Hey Felicia," plus 2 other girls. Meanwhile, Dustin finally gets Andy to agree to help him. Charles takes Dustin to his house and wants him to take his clothes off right away. However, Varney shows up, but Charles can care less and asks Dustin to get naked anyway. As the couple argues, Dustin starts taking pictures of all the expensive things he finna steal, plus a safe. Andy gets the pictures and is enticed. Then Dustin gives Charles some baby powder to sniff while he showers. At the club, 2 girls and Felicia are entertaining Roy. Alex warns Rain that Roy is here, and she needs to avoid him, so they leave. They head to the motel where Daga is performing another BBL. There are 4 people total there, so Alex says she will be outnumbered. He convinces her to let him prove his loyalty to her. He takes out his silencer, and I just know Rain's coochie is steaming for Alex. Inside the room, Shake gives Adeline some alcohol to calm her nerves. Daga says not to worry since she's a nurse and has done this hundreds of times. Daga gets worried when she finds out that Rain knows about the procedure. And speak of the devil, Rain knocks on the door, gagging Miss Big Back Daga. Man, I had a sneak peek at the next few episodes and it's wild. My favorite parts are when it gets super ratchet at the club. We can cover the last 3 episodes in one last part, so give us a like to motivate us.
If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We got lots more of foolishness on this channel that'll have you hollering. And if you like to watch more, just click here or here.